Most people waste their first $100 without even noticing it, spending it on things they forget a week later. But I wanted to do something different, so I took that same $100 and tested it across 7 completely different investments, from the safest markets to the riskiest plays, including a tiny online business I wasn't sure would work. What happened over the next few months completely changed the way I think about money and wealth. And if you've ever wondered where your first $100 should actually go, stay with me, because the results reveal far more than numbers. They reveal how wealth is truly built. I started with the most responsible choice first, the S&P 500 Index Fund. This is the investment every financial expert talks about, and for a good reason. It's the backbone of American economic growth, representing 500 of the country's biggest companies. Now, you might think an index fund is boring, but sometimes boring beats everything else. From early 2024 to November 2025, the S&P 500 rose by roughly 34% thanks to explosive growth in artificial intelligence, cloud computing, semiconductors, and a roaring energy sector. My $100 became $134. Nothing crazy, nothing flashy, but a reminder of one powerful truth: consistency wins. And here's where the hook deepens, because while this was safe and predictable, it wasn't even close to the top-performing investment. What came next changed everything. The second investment was Bitcoin, the market's favorite troublemaker. If the S&P 500 is a calm, wise old investor, Bitcoin is the unpredictable genius who shows up late but somehow still gets top marks. With Bitcoin, you never know if you're about to make money or lose sleep. But 2025 was kind to Bitcoin holders. After its 2024 halving event and the wave of institutional investment that followed, Bitcoin surged around 42% by late 2025. My $100 grew to $142. But here's the part people often forget. That $142 didn't sit there calmly. It bounced. Some days it was $130. Some days $160. And some days it looked like it wanted to break the laws of gravity entirely. That's the beauty and the danger of crypto. It rewards the brave and punishes the emotional. And yet, despite the chaos, it outperformed the stock market this time. But the story doesn't end here, because the next investment played a very different game. Ethereum became the third stop on this $100 journey. If Bitcoin is digital gold, then Ethereum is the digital economy itself. In 2025, Ethereum saw solid growth thanks to ETF approvals, rapid expansion of Layer 2 solutions, and widespread adoption across decentralized applications. Even so, Ethereum grew more slowly than Bitcoin, rising around 29% in this period. My $100 turned into $129. This is where things get interesting, because while Ethereum didn't win the race, it did something more valuable. It showed stability. It wasn't as dramatic or terrifying as Bitcoin. It didn't swing as aggressively. It grew quietly, consistently, almost politely. And sometimes that's exactly the kind of asset long-term investors prefer. But still, I wanted to see what would happen when I moved away from digital assets and into something humanity has trusted for thousands of years. The fourth investment was gold, the oldest form of wealth protection we know. Gold doesn't care about elections, recessions, stock market crashes, or technological revolutions. It simply holds value. In 2025, gold hit multiple all-time highs, fueled by inflation concerns and central banks increasing their reserves. The world wanted safety, and gold delivered. From early 2024 to late 2025, gold rose around 18%. My $100 became roughly $118. Not bad, not impressive, just steady. And here's the hook you need to hear. Gold isn't meant to make you rich. It's meant to make sure you don't become poor. It's wealth insurance, not wealth creation. And that tiny difference is something most new investors never understand. But the next investment taught me something even more important. The difference between safety and growth gets clearer when you see how slow safe money actually moves. When your money grows this slowly, you start to realize that stability comes at the cost of speed, and the real wealth-building opportunities often lie outside your comfort zone. Gold protects you, but it rarely pushes you forward, and that's the mindset shift most beginners never make. The fifth place I put my $100 was a high-yield savings account. Not exciting, not glamorous, but extremely important. In 2025, interest rates stayed higher than expected, and savings accounts offered between 4.3% and 4.8% APY. My $100 turned into about $104.50. It barely moved, but it didn't lose a single dollar either. And here's the quiet truth. Money in a savings account isn't supposed to grow. It's supposed to wait. It's where your emergency fund lives, where your opportunity fund stays ready, and where your short-term goals stay safe. But if you're looking to multiply money, a savings account is the slowest vehicle on the road. And after watching my first 5 investments move, I realized something powerful. The biggest returns wouldn't come from traditional assets at all. They would come from the next step, the one I didn't expect to work. The 6th investment became the most surprising part of the entire experiment. I used $100 to start a tiny online side business. With the help of free AI tools, I created digital templates, uploaded them to Etsy, bought a domain, and spent the rest on minimal advertising. I wasn't expecting much, but within 60 days, the small store generated $163 in revenue. After expenses and fees, my profit came out to around $52, which means my $100 became $152. And this is where everything clicked, because this wasn't passive growth. This wasn't tied to a market. This wasn't dependent on economic cycles. This was the result of creativity, effort, and execution. And that's why the wealthy always say that the best investment you can make is in yourself or something you build. A business has no ceiling, can grow as much as you're willing to push it. And here's the hook that changes perspectives. $100 invested in yourself can outperform $100 invested anywhere else, if you're willing to take action. The final $100 went into fractional real estate, tiny shares of rental homes purchased through modern investment platforms. This is one of the easiest ways for beginners to get into property without needing thousands of dollars. In 2024 and 2025, fractional real estate portfolios produced average returns between 7 and 12%. My investment landed near the middle, turning $100 into around $110. It wasn't explosive, but it was consistent. Real estate remains one of the most reliable wealth-building tools in the world. But with only $100, it moves slowly. You feel the power of real estate only once you scale into larger amounts. And yet, even at such a small level, the stability was impressive. When all 7 investments finally revealed their results, the picture couldn't have been clearer. The small online business delivered the highest return, ending at $152. Bitcoin followed with $142. Then the S&P 500 with $134. Ethereum finished at $129, gold at $118, fractional real estate at $110, and the high-yield savings account came last with $104.50. And here is the final hook, the one truth that completely changed how I look at money. If you only have a small amount to begin with, the fastest way to grow it isn't traditional investing, it's creating something of your own. The stock market multiplies wealth. Crypto accelerates wealth. Real estate preserves wealth. But a business creates wealth from absolutely nothing. For anyone starting their financial journey, this insight can change your entire direction. Once you understand that creation is more powerful than consumption, the way you treat your first $100 transforms. It stops being just money and becomes a seed, and the way you plant that seed determines the kind of future you can grow. So in the end, 7 investments with the same starting point delivered 7 very different results. People often underestimate how much a simple $100 can do. But that first small step is where real financial change begins. Use it wisely and it becomes the foundation of your future. Waste it and you slow yourself down without noticing. Make choices your future self will thank you for. And if you found this breakdown valuable video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Wealth doesn't start with thousands, it starts with your first 100 and how you choose to use it.